What's going on, world? It's me, Andre Ketna here from West Palm Beach, Florida. So in this video, I'm going to go over my strategy, a simple strategy that you can do on equities, like US 30s, Nas 100, especially on German 30. I like to use this simple strategy on German 30, also known as DAX. But before I dive deeper into that strategy and show you guys how my strategy works, if you guys want to be able to copy my trades automatically over to your account and also be able to get access to my DAX trade copier, meaning every time the DAX copier places a trade, those same trades will be automatically copied over to your account hands free. All you got to do is just click the link in the description box below and message me on Telegram, or you can just message me on Instagram and just let me know, hey, Andre, I want to get access to the DAX trade copier, or I want to copy your trades. And it's only a one-time fee of $500. You're going to get access to two different trade copiers, plus be able to copy my trades automatically over to your account. You're going to get access to the DAX trade copier, of course, and also you're going to get access to my futures trade copier. Okay, so if you guys are interested in that, like I said, just message me on Telegram. Click the link in the description box below. Message me on Telegram and message me on DM. All right, it's only $500 one time. You can't beat it. And you're gonna know, you're gonna see why it's worth paying the $500 fee, because as you can see right now on my screen, this DAX trade copier is making, $200, $300, $500 a day type stuff. So you look at it a whole month, you could be in a position of making $2,000, $3,000 in 1 month, and you only paid a one-time fee of $500. So it's definitely worth it. Just reach out to me and just let me know. Okay, so this is the DAX trade copier. This trade copier only trades the DAX, but it also can trade US 30 as well. As you can see, Friday of August, right? We made $93. We all know that the markets are closing on that day. On the 21st, we made $521. Now you might see all greens, right? When majority of greens, but there are some losses in between. Okay, so you're not gonna win every trade, but as you can see here, we lost $42. Won every trade there. As you can see here, we're winning a lot more than we're losing. So this trade copier, this DAX trade copier, is gonna put you in a position to win way more than you lose. Okay, so yeah, we won $500 that day. As you can see, every other day has been, we've been making like $200, almost $300 a day type stuff. So yeah, I'll even show you guys some more. Let's go over here. As you can see here, if I scroll down, you're gonna see a lot more wins than losses, guys. This, like, all I'm gonna say is, guys, you guys definitely gonna want to get your hands on this trade copier. Like, most people, they be like, for a EA, a trading bot, they be charging $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 just to get access to a EA, and I'm only charging $500 to get access to this that's winning like this. Like, come on. Like, you can't beat it. $500 one time fee, you cannot beat it. So $500 one time fee, and you'll get access to this trade copier. Okay, so let's go to the charts real quick, because I want to actually explain my personal strategy when it comes to trading German 30. Okay, so what I like to do is, all right, normally I like to go to the 5-minute chart, and I have an indicator on right here that shows me, what type of session I'm in. So what I like to look for, and I'll go ahead and do some typing here. Let me go to text. Let me see. What I like to do is I like to see a sweep first. All right, I want to see a sweep, or what I like to call it, a session sweep. All right, that's number one. Okay, that's the first thing that I want to see. Now, sometimes I do take trades without the session sweep, but if you want like a high quality A+ trade, you want to see a session sweep first. Okay. All right. Second, you want to see see price. You want to see a breaker block. Okay. I kind of explain what a breaker block is on the chart shortly. So once you see a breaker block, you want to see a VWAP break. All right, a VWAP break. Okay. So you want to see a session sweep, and you want to see a breaker block, and then you want to see a VWAP break. All right, and then also if you can see a let me put this as number 3. Okay. If you can also see a supply and demand zone, between all this stuff, then I'll just put supply and demand zone rejection. All right, or break, or break and retest. All right, so that's number 1. So these are the things that I look for. Okay, if you guys want to trade my personal strategy, this is what I look for. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move this. Let me move this all the way up here. That way this don't be in our way. Yeah, put that right there. All right, cool. So first thing first, I usually go to the 1 hour. Okay, I'll go to the 1 hour. All right, once I go to the 1 hour, I'm looking for, and by the way, when I'm trading German 30, I'm going to be looking at the London session. Okay, I trade German 30. I like to trade German 30 in the London session, but you can also trade this during US session as well, which I'm going to show you some examples. But normally, I like to trade this during London session. Okay, now London session starts around like 3 a.m. Eastern, but when it comes to these boxes, I got these boxes starting at 12 midnight as saying as a London box right here, but really London starts around 3 a.m. But my box right here starts at midnight here. Okay, so what I like to do is I like to mark up my supply and demand zone on a 1 hour chart. So I like to either if there's a wick like this, which is too big, right? I don't want to have a zone that is this big right here. No, that's too big. So what I'm gonna do is, or what you could do is, if I draw my zone right here to there, I can go 1 time frame down, and I can probably tighten up a little bit better, but that's still too big. I go down to the 15 minute. That's a lot better right there. That's a lot better. And normally I have my my London zones green. Okay, so that's a lot better there. Okay, and then what I usually do is I bring it, I drag it in the future. That way, when the session opens up, right, and price come into the zone, then you can get a rejection like this. You see how you got a rejection off of the zone right here? Boom. Okay. Now this is good. This is great because I want to show you an example of what how you could trade this in the U.S. session. Okay. And also, like if I'm trading U.S. session, I also like to draw my my U.S. session zones. But this zone right here, the London session zone, kind of lines up with the U.S. session low. So I really don't have to draw that. But once I draw my zones, right? Once I draw my London session zones on the 1 hour, right here, boom. And I like to draw the zones from the wick to the body. Okay, I like to draw the wick to the body as a zone. Okay, then I break it down to the 5-minute chart, and as you can see here, we're on the 5-minute chart. So whenever, like if I'm trading the U.S. session and the U.S. session opens, whenever a U.S. session opens, right, all I'm waiting for is price to come into the zone and reject it. Okay, or price doesn't just go what we think it's going to do. Price can also break it and come down here and retest it. Okay, so those are the 2 things that I'm looking for when it comes to the supply and demand zone. Okay, now what I also like to do is I like to take my VWAP. And if you don't know what a VWAP is, you can watch some of my videos. I like to anchor my VWAP at the start of the session. Okay, as you can see, I started this anchor VWAP at the 8 a.m. candle. Okay, the 8 a.m. candle. This is when the U.S. session starts. That's when I have it, where I have the U.S. session starting. Okay, once I have that anchor VWAP there, right now, all right, I'm looking for a breaker block. Okay, so how can I tell if it's a breaker block? We got a high here. Okay, We got a high low there, and there, high low there, and whatever the lowest point. And if you guys don't know what breaker block, how I be drawing my breaker blocks, I made a video on how I draw these breaker blocks. But I'm looking for the red candle in between the higher highs and the higher lows. Okay, so in this case, this is gonna be my breaker block right here. This red little candle there is gonna be my breaker block there. Okay, I'll just make that blue. That way I won't get confused. Okay, boom. So that's my breaker block. So now all I'm doing is I'm waiting for a sweep. Okay, and as you can see right here, this box right here, I don't know if you guys can see that. This box right here is the US session, okay? And it broke above, it swept above London, the previous session, which was the London session. As you can see, this is the London session right here, okay? I'll make it blue. You see that this is the London session, but the US session swept above the London session. As you can see, price came up here, all right? The highest point of the London session, I believe, is right here. Right, this is the highest point that the London session came up to, but the U.S. session swept above that session. So that's what I call a sweep. So let's go back above and go and show you guys what I'm looking for. So I'm looking for a session sweep, I'm looking for a breaker block, and I'm looking for a VWAP break, and I'm looking for a rejection off of a supply and demand zone that I draw on the 1 hour. Okay, so once all that lines up, then this is like to me, it's like an A+ setup for me. Okay, so as you can see right here, we got the rejection, we got the sweep, we got the rejection, and then price broke below the VWAP and price broke below the breaker block. So this is where you could have got in at for a short. Okay, you could have got in for a short right here, you know, and you could have wrote it down. All right, you know, depending on how, you know, what you're going for or whatever. You know, usually I put my, you know, either above this breaker block or above here, but you know that would have, you know, messed around with your risk to reward. So I probably would have, you know, did like something like that to go for at least a 2R. Okay, so that's my strategy right there. I'm looking for a sweep, meaning U.S. session swept above the London session, this blue box here. I'm looking for a break of the VWAP. I'm looking for a break of the breaker block, and I'm going to get in the trade. Okay? So I'm going to show you guys some more examples. But like I said, this is the U.S. session, so that's what I'm saying. Like I gave you an example on how you can trade this in U.S. session. But like I said, I like to trade this during a London session. But sometimes I also, you know, if I see a really, really good setup, I also take the trade during, you know, U.S. session. But I like to trade during, you know, London session. Okay, so I'm gonna remove all this stuff here. I'm gonna show you guys some more examples, guys. And guys, if you guys getting some value, make sure you let me know in the comment section. Let me know, hey Andre, I'm getting some value. Please make some more videos. Trust me, more videos is gonna be coming, like something more like this. Okay, and we're providing you guys a lot more value. Okay, so let's go back to the 1 hour chart. So again, all right, again, where was the previous London session? Okay. All right. So again, I come to the 1 hour chart. I'm going to mark up my zone. This was the lowest point where London session came to. Okay. Make this green. Remember, I like to make my London session zone green. This is the lowest point that the London session reached right here, and I drew it from the wick to the body. Okay. This candle right here is my London session low, okay? And then I'm also going to draw my London session high, okay? So I'm giving you two scenarios, okay? I'm going to show you guys another scenario on how you can make this even better, okay? So once I mark up my London session high and low here, then we're coming into the new London session, right? Which is this box right here. So every day is not always going to be a good day to trade, but this is what I usually do. I mark up the midnight candle. I anchor the VWAP there at the midnight candle right there. And what I'm going to do is I want to wait for a sweep. Once I wait for that sweep, I'll go to the 5 minute. Usually I go to the 5 minute to take the trade. So once I see that sweep, right? All right. Now I'm looking for a breaker block. Okay. This day could have been a little tricky because price came down here and swept down here and then swept back up. Like that could have been a little tricky. That could have enticed you to and get into a trade. But let's say that you didn't get in a trade here. I'm looking for a breaker block. So in this case, we're looking for buy. So we're going to be looking for to find the breaker block. We're looking for a low, a lower low, lower high, and then a lower low, and then whatever the highest point, wherever the highest green candle between the lower highs and lower lows, this is going to be my breaker block. So right here, this green candle right here is going to be my breaker block. Okay. And like I said, if you guys don't know what a breaker block, there's a whole bunch of videos on breaker blocks. You can watch my videos on how to draw the breaker blocks, but this is my breaker block right here. Okay. So once you see that, now you can also take trades based off of the breaker block or the retest of the breaker block. So in this case, price broke the breaker block. I like to wait for the retest. So that once you see that retest again right here, this is where you could have got in at on the retest. Or if you wanted to, and you wanted to go with all the rules in my strategy, you could have wait for the price to break above the VWAP. Okay. Or you could have got in off of the rejection off of here and caught a small move up there. But what I'm going to show you guys an example is where you could have just got in. You could have got in right here. You could have got in right off of the retest off of the breaker block, and then put your stop there, and you could have just rolled this up. You see how that? Okay. Wait for the retest off of the breaker block. Got in right there. You got in before the VWAP break, but you got in a better position. Sometimes you got to have a feel of the market. Okay. So yeah, that's that right there. That's another example. Let me show you guys some more examples. Like I said, if you guys are getting some value, just let me know in the comment section. But it's a very, very simple strategy. Okay. So let's talk about this one. Okay. Let's go. Let's see. Now, sometimes let's go to the 1 hour. Sometimes the London zones or the zones sometimes won't. I gotta go all the way back here now. Okay. So we did this one. We did that one. What else do we do? I think we need to do this one here. Forgot where we was at. So when there's so like I said, how I draw my zones is I draw my zones from the wick to the body. But if it's like a small wick and a small body, I just get my horizontal line and just mark the high of the London session zone there. Okay, I just do that. Okay, and then this right here is going to be the low of my London session zone right here. But that's a big zone, so I like to go one level down, one time frame down. If that's too big, I go another time frame down. And the lowest time frame that I go down, if the zone is too big, then I just if it's too big, well, it's not that big, but see right here, boom, that's more better. Instead of having a big zone there, I can just make it more tidier. And I hate when I gotta come back and look for this. Okay, there we go. So that's my London session zone there. Okay. Boom. So remember, guys, we're looking at this London zone right here. This blue box right here is a London session right here. Okay. So once we got that London session zone low here, and we got a London session high here, then once we go into the new London session, all right. Once we go into the new London session, guys, then what we want to look for, I think we already did this one here already, did we? As you can see, yeah, we already did this one already. See, I'm getting confused here. Okay, there we go. This is the one we need to look at right here. Okay. So, price didn't like I said, guys. Whenever when I draw these zones, I like to see price come into these zones and reject it. Okay. but price didn't come up here in the zone and reject it. It came down here. Okay, as you can see, it came down here into the zone. Okay, so if that doesn't happen, then of course I'm still gonna do my same routine. I'm gonna take my anchor VWAP, mark it at the midnight candle here, and as you can see, um, price definitely. All right, I'm gonna mark this up. This is my London zone here. Okay, and then this right here is the Asian session. I'll make that yellow. So as you can see, the London session zone definitely swept the previous session, which was the Asian zone. So remember, when I say a session sweep, that means the London session swept above the Asian session. Okay, it came higher. Okay, either come higher or lower. Okay, in this case, it came higher and lower because it came down here too. But we're focusing on this one right here because you can also catch it both ways. But let's talk about this one right here. So once we see that sweep and once we see that break of that anchor VWAP, okay, a full break, you could have took the trade a short. Well, first you want to see if there's a breaker block. Okay, so let's see if there's a breaker block. Yeah, we got a breaker block right here. I see it right now. Okay, we got a breaker block right there. So once we see that sweep, once we see that break of that VWAP and the break of that breaker block, then we can go ahead and take the trade right there. You know, you can put your stop above, wherever you feel comfortable, and then you could have took the trade. Now, I will say this: if price is coming to the zone, be real careful because your price can come to the zone, tap the zone, and reject that zone, and then can shoot back up. So, in order for you to catch your risk to reward, like if you're going for like a 2.5 or even a 2, yeah, you'd have got your risk to reward. All right. Now, as you can see, price kind of came down here and also swept the previous session, the previous Asian session down here. So you could have also, well, that wouldn't have been a good trade. But this right here would have been a good setup for you guys right here. This would have been a good setup. Okay. I'm gonna show you guys one more example, and I'm gonna show you guys another scenarios on how you can trade this. Let me see if I can find. Let's see here. Okay, let's go to the previous London session right here. So what we're gonna do is, and guys, if you look, you can also just take trades based off of the VWAP break. You don't have to do all this extra stuff. Look at this. You could have just wait for price to break this VWAP, and you could have just take the trade just based off of the VWAP. Okay, but I like to have other things in place before I take the trade. Let's go back to the 1 hour. I hate when this moves me like this. Okay, I'm trying to see where I would have left off of that. And like I said, guys, if you guys are getting some value, let me know, okay? Let me know in the comments section. Let me find this right here. What's this one? This one right here. Okay. Let me mark this. That way I know where I'm at when I go to the 1 hour. And guys, like I said, you can also copy my trades automatically over to your account. So like if you don't want to do this stuff and you just want to copy my trades, you can do that. Okay. It's, like I said, you can copy my trades. It's only a one-time fee of $500 and you'll be able to copy my trades automatically over to your account, hands-free. Okay. So this is where we at. Okay. So again, I want to figure out what's the highest point of the London session. This was the highest point. The wick to the body there. I'm gonna make it green. I'm gonna drag it, and then also this is the lowest point. Remember, I'm drawing from the wick to the body. That's the lowest point of the London session. I'm gonna drag it. I'm gonna drag it in the future here. Drag it. Boom. And then I'm gonna drag it here. Drag that there. Okay. So now I got my. Now I'm gonna break it down to the 5 minute. Now I got my my supply and demand zones. my London session low, London session high and London session low. Okay, let me get this out of the way. All right, and then did I do it here? Okay. So this is my London session high and London session low. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this London session right here. All right. The reason why I draw my London session and my previous London session high and low is because I want to, once the new London session opens up, I want to take trades off of the zone. And as you see right here, this is the new, like this was the previous, like we drew this London session high and low from the previous London session. Now we're going into the new, so I'm already prepared. So whenever the London session open up, all I'm waiting for is price to come into these zones and reject it, or I'm waiting for price to reject it and retest and then go in that direction. Okay, so first thing first, I'm gonna take my anchor. I'm gonna anchor my VWAP at the midnight candle there, right? And then not only that, I'm gonna be looking for a breaker block. Okay, so we got a high, low, all right. So I already see my breaker block right now. So this right here would be my breaker block. Okay, that's gonna be my breaker block. I'll go ahead and make that blue. Okay, that's my breaker block. Okay, so once I see price, and then did we get a sweep? Now we didn't get a sweep. Like I said earlier in this video, sometimes, if there's a sweep, I still take trades. All right. So, but I would have loved to see a sweep. So in this case, if we're taking a trade to the downside, then we got to be mindful. We got to be mindful that price is going to sweep. London session is going to sweep below the Asian session. So that means, and when I say session sweep, whenever you see a session sweep, either to the upside or to the downside, there is most likely a reversal coming. So you can expect some type of a reversal. So if a session sweep below a previous session to the downside, then you expect for price to go to the upside. It doesn't happen all the time, but majority of the time, whenever you see a session sweep, you're gonna see a reversal happening. Okay. So what we could have did, we could have took a short trade. All right, a short term trade. All right, and we could have took the trade. A short right here. Okay, we could have took a short right here. All right, a short right here, and we could have got a 2R right there. You see that, right? We could have got a 2R right there. All right, don't be trying to go for like, I mean, you can, but you have to look at the higher time frame. Don't try to go for all this. But I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you guys another scenario. But in this case, we could have caught a trade down here to the downside like that. Okay, look at that. Perfect trade. Perfect trade. Okay, and like I said, these trades that you're seeing can be copied automatically over to your account hands free. Okay, so we got that. Now I'm gonna show you guys another scenario, a different scenario or a different type of way to trade. Now what you could do is you can look at the higher time frames. Let me delete all this stuff here. You can look at the higher time frames like the 4 hour. Okay, you can look at the 4 hour trade here, and let me go over here. I'm gonna show you this. I'm gonna show you guys this. All right, this is powerful. If you look at the 4 hour chart, right? If you look at the 4 hour, right, you're seeing we're creating lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. All right, we're creating lower highs and lower lows here. Okay, so what you could have did was, right, since we're seeing lower lows and lower highs and lower lows, okay, so what we could do is take our anchor VWAP here and anchor that VWAP right here. Okay, we can anchor that VWAP on the lowest candle right here, on that lower low there, right? And then we can go back, or what we could also do is we can also take a Fibonacci retracement tool here, and we could take that Fibonacci retracement from the high and then all the way down here to the low and bring it right there. Boom, right there. And as you can see, price came back to the 61.8. This is a price reversal level right here. This is a level that you can take a trade off of if you want to just take a trade based off of the Fibonacci retracement. But I like to do more, more stuff than just taking the trade off of a 61.8 or any one of these levels, the 78.6 or the 88.6 Fibonacci. Those are the levels that I like to take trades, based off of the rejection of the Fibonacci retracement. But remember, I like to, do more things than that. All right. So let me bring this up here. So remember, this level right here is the 61.8. So what I like to do is, so whenever London session happens, right? If we don't see a sweep, okay, that's fine. If we don't see a sweep, but we know that we're at a 61.8 Fibonacci retracement level. That's a price reversal level, okay? Once we see a rejection off of this blue line, remember this blue line right here is the 61.8 Fibonacci retracement level. So if you don't see, you could have took trades during the U.S. session and the London session. Let's talk about the U.S. session here, okay? So with the U.S. session, we definitely have. I'll take this off. The U.S. session, we definitely have a sweep here, okay? As you can see right here, we have a sweep right here. All right. Boom. This is the U.S. session here. And then we have the London session here, okay? So we definitely have a session sweep here, all right? That means the U.S. session swept above this London session here, all right? Price came up here and swept above, okay? So if we're trading the U.S. session, we could have just marked our anchor our VWAP at the start of the U.S. session, which is at the 8 a.m. candle right there, all right? And also, remember, what I like to do too is, let me go to the 1 hour. I forgot to do this. Let me go ahead and do it. Everything that I just did based on the 5 minute, the 1 hour and 5 minute, I do the same thing if I'm looking at the 4 hour, the higher time frames, okay? This can get you some really, really good entries, okay? But let's go look at the previous US session high and low, okay? So this was the previous US session low right here. Boom. Usually I like to mark the US session zones red. As you can see, we have a US session zone. This is the previous US session. This is the new US session right here, okay? So we go back to the 5 minute. Let's see if we can find where we was at. We go back to the 5 minute here, okay? So this is a perfect trade, y'all. Like, y'all gotta, if you got to rewind this and rewatch this, okay? So the U.S. session did a sweep, all right? We swept above the previous London session here, right? We came up here. Price also came into the previous U.S. session low, all right? And then not only that, price rejected and price broke below the VWAP. Okay, and I forgot. I gotta go back to the 4 hour here too. Let me go back to the 4 hour here. I forgot. I think I deleted the anchor VWAP here. So, yeah, I think I deleted it here. So let me mark this. Let me anchor this one right here. Let me make that. I'll just make it yellow. That way we can, because this is the 4 hour anchor VWAP. I just want to make that clear. This is the 4 hour based on the low. All right. And all I'm waiting for is the price. Once price go up, all I'm waiting for is price to break below that 4 hour anchor VWAP. Once it breaks below, same scenario like when we're trading on the 5 minute. Once we see that break, we take it in the trade. It's the same scenario as on the 4 hour. Okay. So let's go back to the 5 minute. Okay. So you could have took two trades here, So you could have took a short here. Well, first, let's see if we can find a breaker block here. All right. See, we probably would have got in way before this break because, like I said, sometimes I like to take trades. Sometimes I like to take trades based on the breaker block. Okay, so boom, we could have took a trade here on this breaker block, a short right here. Probably put our stop right there maybe, and look at this. We could have caught that, at least almost a 2R right there. So that's one trade that we could have took on on the US session. But let's delete this. I'm gonna show you guys this last trade here, and then we'll hop off because I don't want to make this video too long. So we'll delete this. We'll also delete this. This is some powerful stuff, guys. This is my strategy. When I'm trading German 30, this is my strategy, y'all. This is my strategy. Okay. So remember the yellow anchor VWAP. We did this on. We marked this up on the 4 hour. Okay. We marked this up on the 4 hour. So what we could have did was, since remember, the reason why I'm looking at the 4 hours is because I'm looking at market structure. I'm looking at, are we creating higher highs and higher lows, or are we creating lower highs, or are we creating higher highs or higher lows, or creating lower highs and lower lows? In this case, on the 4 hour, we're creating lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. So that means we are creating, a downtrend. So if we're gonna go with the market structure, then we should only be looking for sales. Okay. So once I see, let me actually go to the 4 hour here. Sorry guys, I'm trying to go back and forth, and it's just every time I go to the time frame, it always put me back where I don't want to be at. So I'm gonna bring this just a little bit over here. Boom. Okay, then we'll go to back to the 5 minute. All right. So let's go to the London session. So we got a trade in the U.S. session, but now let's go back. Let's go into the London session. All right. And sometimes you can also use the U.S. session zones with along with the London session zone as well. I mean, a London session as well. So as you can see, we didn't get a sweep, or did we? No, we didn't get a sweep. So what we want to look for now is we want to look for a breaker block. And I can see right now, this right here will be the breaker block right there. Okay, so that's the breaker block. Okay, and then also we're gonna anchor our VWAP at the midnight candle, right there. We're gonna make that white. So there's two scenarios. All right, you could have took a trade here during London session. All right, because remember on the 4 hour, we're creating lower highs and lower lows. So we want to go with we want to go with the market structure. We want to go with the downtrend. Okay, so if the 4 hour is telling us that we're creating lower highs and lower lows, we should be looking for sales, right? So we could have took a trade right here. We got the break right there, right? And remember, when it comes to the breaker block, I like to wait for the retest. So in this case, price broke. We could have took a trade right here. But remember, I like to wait for the retest. So price came back up into the breaker block and retested it. So, and all you had to do is just wait for that retest, right? And wait for price to break the anchor VWAP, which is this white line right here. And we could have got in. We could have got in right here, put our stop right here, above right there. And look at this. We could have caught all of this, okay? We could have caught all of this. Like literally, we could have caught all of this. Major move. All right, major move. Now, where else you could have got in at? Remember, we draw this yellow line right here on the 4 hour, right? We could have also got in right here too, right? On the break of that yellow line, the yellow anchor VWAP, we could have got in, somewhere right here. All right, put our stop right there, and we could have took it down. So if you'd have missed this trade right here, you could have got this. You could have do this trade right here as well. All right, and I'm gonna talk about one more thing too. How do you know when to get out of the trade? All right, let's say like you want to hold the trade for a long time, but you want to also be in a position where you want to hold the trade. Well, let me see here. I want to give you guys a good example here. Let me delete all this stuff here. And this will be my last thing here, okay? I want to give you guys more example. I want to give you a really good example here. Remember, when it comes to the 4 hour, let's go back to the 4 hour. All right, let's go back to the 4 hour. Let's do the start of this trend here, okay? We're creating lower lows, lower high. We're creating lower low, lower high, lower low here, okay? If I put my anchor VWAP here at this low here, all right? And we go back to the 5 minute here, okay? Scroll back over here. This is if you're looking at the 4-hour and you want to hold the trade a little bit longer, okay? So once price, all right, where are we at here? Okay. So price came all the way back up here, okay. Trying to show you guys a good example. What you could have did was if you was if you had your anchor VWAP at the U.S. session, right, the start of the U.S. session here, all right, and you was waiting for price to close below that U.S. session here. What I would do is I would wait for, I don't know if this would be a good example, but I'm just see the last candle that touches the anchor VWAP. I'm doing what's called a handoff. All right, this is called a handoff. So this is the last candle that touched this anchor VWAP here. All right. All right. Once price breaks above that handoff, all right, I'm gonna close the trade. Okay. So let's look at this example right here, up here. All right. I'm looking for the last candle that touched this anchor VWAP. So the last candle that touched this VWAP was this candle right here. So this is what I call a handoff. I anchored the VWAP here, the last candle that touched it. And all right, once we get into London session, right, and price closes above this handoff, then I'm getting out of the trade. As you can see, price never really came above until this point right here. So what you could have did was you could have caught all of this here. You could have caught all this right here. Let me go here short here. Yeah, you could have caught all of this right here, this whole move right here, and then once price broke back above the anchor VWAP, that's when you get out. Okay, so hope you guys got some value out of this. Like I said, guys, if you guys want to be able to copy my trades automatically over to your account hands-free, like I said, you can copy all of these trades automatically over to your account hands-free. I can put you in a position where you can make $200, $300, $500 a day copying the trades from this DAX trader. Okay, it's very, very accurate and it's very, very on point. If you guys want to be able to copy these trades, all you gotta do is just click the link in the description box below, message me on Telegram, message me on Instagram, and let me know, hey Andre, I want the trade copier, and then I'll get you set up. It's only a one-time fee of $500. Like I said, other people out there are charging $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. Like it's crazy, and I'm only charging $500, and you're seeing the results. You're seeing how accurate this trade copier is. So paying $500 one-time fee shouldn't be no problem. Okay. So with that being said, I'm Andre Cat here from West Palm Beach, Florida. I'll see you guys on the internet. Take care, y'all.